Welcome to today's 2-minute prophecy. Since we finished the book of Revelation, I would like to take some time to talk about individual prophecies, specifically about Christ. And so over the next few days, we're going to be talking about some of the things that I have written back here on this whiteboard about how we can know that Jesus is who he says he is, because it's important, because in the end times, people will listen to anything they want to hear just to make themselves feel good. One of the things I want to talk about is in Matthew 24, verse 26. So if someone tells you, look, the Messiah is out in the desert, don't bother to go and look. Or look, he is hiding here. Don't believe it. For as lightning lights up the entire sky, so it will be when the Son of Man comes. Okay, so what we understand from Jesus' teachings is that we need to understand who Jesus really is and understand that the Bible says it'll be in the blink of an eye when he comes. If someone tells you that Jesus is here, it's already too late, because that means you got left behind. So let's try to understand about the Bible, a little bit more about the Bible and who Jesus really was and what atheists or non-believers think. So proof or doubt, we have eyewitnesses to Christ. We have the disciples. Those are eyewitnesses. Now, we don't have the writings specifically from the disciples. We have writings that date back to the 1st century that were written by scribes of the disciples. We also have non-Christian historians that are in the 1st century, late 1st century, 2nd century, that write about Jesus. That are non-Christian historians that acknowledge who he was. Not only that, but there wasn't anybody at that time period saying that he didn't exist. We also have physical evidence of things that are around Jerusalem during that time. We have archaeologists digging up old cities that are mentioned in the Bible, that people thought to be flukes. King David was thought to be just a legend until in the 1980s they dug up fragments of stuff that had his name on it, dating back to the time that he actually existed. So we're talking a little bit more about proof or doubt of the Bible in this instance, but we're getting down to who Jesus really was and why we know that he was crucified and rose from the grave. Manuscripts. It is well documented. We have over 40,000 manuscripts alone, handwritten documents of the Old Testament. Just the Old Testament, 25,000 in the New Testament, I think. So what? So there's 40,000. There's really no discrepancies from one copy to the next. And they dated back to within 1,000 years of Christ, 1,000 years of one of the first copies we had. Well, when we got the Dead Sea Scrolls, that dated back to 200 years before Christ, talking about Christ. That ought to set your head spinning. So these are just different evidences we're going to talk about over the next few days. So I hope you tune in, and that's your 2-minute prophecy.